Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to Tool Show with me, Master Dan, the Journeyman shooter. And we're doing one of our little coffee time segments here, and I figured it's a beautiful day to kind of get out and go for a little walk here, so why not? It's a perfect time to kind of enjoy life and see how things are going, and I figured I'd have a little talk with you guys and see what we could do. So today I was wondering what's a good thing to kind of talk about, and it's a beautiful Calgary day, and I'm up here in Edworthy Park, and it's kind of gorgeous, and as you can see behind me, there's lots of trees, and soon enough it's spring here, so soon enough these trees are going to be sprouting lots of cherries. No, I'm just kidding, these aren't cherry trees, but you can imagine if they were sprouting lots of cherries, it'd be just delicious. So, whoa, as I almost slip and fall into a whole bunch of mud. Now, what I was talking about with cherries is, I know a few weeks ago we talked about George Washington and his famous axe that he used to cut down the cherry tree that was his father's most prized cherry tree, and he blamed it on his cat, and that was cool, but no, I'm just kidding, he didn't blame it on his cat. At least that's part of history, and the people that rule the history create the history, so who knows, he could have probably blamed it on his cat, but other than that, I figured let's have a talk today about something that's kind of cool. Like, what could I talk about that has to do with something cool? And cherries. I love cherries. They're delicious, especially in the summertime. Like a maraschino cherry and with whatever it is. Those aren't really an actual type of cherry. That's a type of preserving of cherries. So you can preserve your cherries as maraschinos. But I like the tree cherries. And now, how do a lot of people get to those tree cherries? They use ladders, or they use a famous tool or a famous machine called a cherry picker. Now, the cherry picker, it's basically just a bucket truck. In construction, they have a lot of trucks that just have a little bucket on it, so you can get up to a higher location, and you can change some lights, or you can do something cool with it, and that's basically what a cherry picker is. It's just a truck with a bucket on it, and I know a lot of the time you most famously hear it used as, hey, can I borrow that cherry picker? And no, I'm just kidding, you don't borrow the cherry picker too often, but I figured that's a cool thing to kind of talk about, is cherry picking and what a cherry picker is. So a cherry picker is just essentially a little bucket truck that's able to pick up cherries. And so what else is a cherry picker? In sports, there's a person that a lot of people hate. They think it's kind of a dirty thing to do, which is picking cherries. Picking cherries in a sport is when somebody kind of hangs out by the goal and you can throw them the puck or a ball or whatever, and they can dunk it, or they can, I don't know, it's just basically somebody that's hanging out in position that is kind of at an advantage to them, which is good, and you always want to do that. In real life, you want to have a position that is to your advantage. You don't want to kind of sit around and just kind of hope for stuff to happen. You gotta make it work for you. But in real life, you got to also kind of respect the rules of the game, and I had a buddy, he was an amazing cherry picker. He was, I don't know, I think it came from soccer, because in soccer, like, it's a normal thing to be a cherry picker, where he was a forward in soccer, and being a forward in soccer, you have to kind of play up on the ball, and you're always looking for that fast break, because you can get a really good goal by getting a fast break, and it's just kind of something smart that you can do. You don't want to just sit around and wait for something to come to you. You got to go get it. And in soccer, there's forwards, there's defensemen, there's centers, there's, I don't know, whatever. I didn't really play much soccer, but I know my buddy did, and whenever we play hockey, he was kind of the worst, because everybody always hated it, because he'd hang out at like center and kind of not get back and play defense or do anything, and he was always looking for the fast breaks. Even in basketball, we'd go to pass the ball and he'd already be down the court at the net, and that's basically what cherry picking is. And in life, it's a great skill to have, because you want to be ahead. You want to make sure that you are, I don't know, working hard and trying to get to that point where you only have to make a little layup or something easy when nobody's around you, because a fast break is awesome. And even though in hockey it's not usually the best sometimes, because as anybody that was in Calgary watching the first game of the playoffs there last night, they realized that a fast break isn't good, because there was a 3 on nobody. There was a weird change in the shift or whatever, and somehow everybody lost their position, and 3 guys went on goal and scored what turned out to be the game-winning goal. And that's what it is. So they use that to their advantage. They use that cherry picking and having people around to be able to use that to their advantage. And that was smart on their part. It was regretful on ours, but that's what life is sometimes. Holy cow, sorry, as I almost dropped my camera in a whole ton of mud here. I'm just trying to walk through a nice little path, but it's a bit muddy, as you can see there, so I figured, why not? Oh, this coffee is It's not one of my favorites. My mom sent this one from the States. It's a new brand. I don't normally, whoa, holy cow, and then I almost fall again. Yeah, it's quite muddy. Springtime in Calgary, that's what the spring is, but this is like a raspberry kind of coffee, and boy is it nasty. I'm not really a raspberry kind of coffee guy, but that's kind of just what I wanted to talk about today. There's nothing too exciting. It's just a lesson on cherry picking and how to use that to your advantage. You want to make sure that you are, if you're gonna pick cherries, you want to be in the right position. You want to be ahead. You want to get all the stuff that you have to done before you have to get to that cherry picking spot, and then you get in trouble. So whatever you do, just have a great time. And that's about it. That's all I wanted to talk about today. So for Tool Show, I'm Master Dan, the Journeyman Shooter. Get it there, borrow yourself a good cherry picker, and try to pick some cherries.